Every time a cheesemaker separates milk into curds, roughly half of what's left is liquid. For most of recorded history, that liquid was a problem: acidic, perishable, and produced in quantities far too large to simply pour down a drain. Today, that same liquid is the foundation of a global protein industry worth tens of billions of dollars. The question is how a genuine industrial waste stream became one of the most valuable ingredients in the modern food supply. To understand what whey actually is, you have to start with cheese. Cheese is made by introducing acid or enzymes to milk, which causes the milk protein casein to coagulate into solid curds. Those curds are pressed, aged, and sold. But the liquid that drains away from the curds during that process, the whey, carries with it a different set of proteins, along with lactose, vitamins, and minerals. It is, in every technical sense, a byproduct. The cheese-making process was never designed to produce it. It simply cannot avoid producing it. The scale of that unavoidable production is staggering. Because cheese requires so much milk and retains only a fraction of it in solid form, whey arrives in enormous continuous volumes wherever cheese is made at industrial scale. For decades, this created a genuine logistics crisis for dairy processors. The liquid was too acidic and too nutrient-rich to release untreated into waterways, but processing it cost money that the market didn't yet reward. Some of it was fed to pigs. Some was spread on fields. A great deal of it was simply a cost center with no revenue attached. The industry wasn't ignoring the problem. It genuinely had no profitable solution. The turning point was not a single invention. It was the convergence of several pressures at once. Environmental regulations in industrialized countries began tightening in the latter half of the 20th century, making disposal increasingly expensive and legally complicated. At the same time, food scientists were developing a clearer picture of whey's nutritional profile, specifically that its proteins were highly digestible and contained a favorable balance of amino acids. The problem of disposal and the opportunity of nutrition arrived at the same moment. That convergence created the economic incentive to build the processing infrastructure that would transform whey from a liability into an asset. The mechanism that made the transformation possible was membrane filtration. Technologies like ultrafiltration allowed processors to separate whey proteins from the lactose and water in liquid whey, concentrating them into a stable powdered ingredient. This was not a minor engineering improvement. It was the industrial step that changed the economic math entirely. A truck leaving a cheese plant carrying liquid whey was carrying a disposal problem. A truck leaving that same plant carrying dry whey protein concentrate was carrying a commodity. The same biological material, captured at a different point in the process, had become something the market wanted to buy. The buyers who arrived first were not consumers. They were food manufacturers looking for a versatile, cost-effective protein ingredient. Whey protein could be added to baked goods to improve texture, to infant formulas to adjust protein ratios, to processed foods as a functional binder. It dissolved easily, it blended without dominating flavor, and it was abundant. The dairy industry had spent years trying to get rid of whey. Now it had customers asking for more of it. The next wave of demand came from a different direction entirely: the fitness and sports nutrition market. By the 1990s and accelerating through the 2000s, whey protein isolate and concentrate became the dominant ingredients in protein powders and recovery drinks. The reasoning was straightforward. Whey proteins are rapidly absorbed and rich in the amino acids associated with muscle protein synthesis. Whether one is talking about elite athletes or recreational gym goers, the market proved enormous and global. A product that cheesemakers had once struggled to dispose of now commanded a premium price in retail stores on 6 continents. The industrial dairy system had not gone looking for a sports nutrition business. That business found it. The costs of this transformation are real, though they are less visible than the growth story. The expansion of industrial cheese production to meet demand for both cheese and whey has concentrated dairy processing into fewer, larger facilities. The scale required to make whey processing economically viable pushes toward consolidation. Smaller cheesemakers, operating at volumes where membrane filtration infrastructure is not financially practical, remain caught between the old problem and the new market. They produce whey, but often cannot capture its full value. The efficiency gains from industrialization have not been evenly distributed across the dairy supply chain. There is also an honest uncertainty worth naming. The sports nutrition market that drove the premium end of whey protein demand was built on a foundation of genuine nutritional science, but it was also shaped by aggressive marketing, and the line between established research and promotional claim has not always been clear. The core finding that whey proteins are rapidly digested and useful for supporting muscle repair after exercise is well supported in the scientific literature. The more expansive claims made in retail packaging over the decades have ranged from well-evidenced to speculative. The science behind whey protein as a functional food ingredient is solid. The specific performance promises attached to individual products deserve more scrutiny. Today, whey protein is one of the most traded protein commodities in the world. It moves through a global supply chain that connects dairy farms in Europe, the Americas, and Oceania to ingredient processors, contract manufacturers, and ultimately to retail shelves and food service operations worldwide. The cheese that generates it is not an afterthought in that system. It is the upstream process that makes the whole chain possible. Every block of cheddar, every wheel of Parmesan, every batch of industrial mozzarella destined for a pizza chain is also simultaneously a whey production event. The two products share the same vat, the same starting milk, and the same factory floor. One gets the brand recognition, the other built the bigger business. The dairy industry did not set out to build a protein supplement industry. It set out to make cheese, encountered a waste disposal problem at industrial scale, faced regulatory and economic pressure to solve it, and discovered that the solution was a valuable ingredient hiding inside the problem. That sequence, constraint forcing innovation, innovation finding unexpected demand, demand reshaping the upstream supply chain, is not unique to whey. It is a recurring pattern in the industrial food system. But whey is one of the cleaner examples of it because the origin is so easy to trace. The next time you pass a shelf of protein powder in a grocery store, you are looking at the downstream end of a cheese-making operation. The curds went one way, the whey went another, and somewhere along that second path, someone figured out that what the industry called waste, the market would eventually call a product. The question that follows naturally from whey's story is whether other waste streams in food manufacturing are sitting in the same position whey occupied 50 years ago, abundant, undervalued, and waiting for the combination of regulatory pressure and processing technology that turns a liability into a commodity. The food system has a long history of finding those hidden second products. Whey just happens to be the one that made it all the way to the gym. Visual reconstructions are illustrative. Facts and interpretations are based on the sources listed in the description.